Who is out there buying the dip? That's right. Today we got pullbacks in the crypto sector, but also a lot of really cool news. And in fact, did you know you can make payments to people on X? I found that out this week, so we're going to dive into that. HBAR live on Robinhood. We will definitely be looking at that news. We're going to have an HBAR segment. We're going to have an Algorand segment, as we always do. And actually going to get into some Ondo finance because, you know, it's something I've been keeping an eye on for a while, and I really like some of the stuff they're doing. So we're definitely going to get into that. But how the heck is everyone doing out there? Hope you're all having a nice Friday morning. Lots of cool stuff to talk about today. Unfortunately, not the crypto markets. They have not been going well. We will look at all that news today. How's everyone doing out there? Real quiet chat today. Let's get that chat going. Want to hear from you guys as always. As a reminder, we are live on we are live on YouTube, on X, and on Kick. So just a reminder there, you can be the first person to donate super chat in YouTube, and they now have a leaderboard for the chat, so you can work your way up the leaderboard. You should check that out. That is a feature on YouTube. I also have a leaderboard on Kick as well. You can be right now, if you give one sub, you can take first place. So be sure, if you're not subscribed there, definitely an option there. You can subscribe to the YouTube, or subscribe on Kick, and you can gift subs. I think you can actually do that on YouTube as well. I'm not 100% sure. Now, X doesn't really have monetization, but this new project Nyla that we're going to talk about later today that I'm super excited about, that a lot of Algorand people are super excited about, will allow you to, in fact, you can do that now. I just think a lot of people aren't aware of it, but you can, it's like basically an AI agent, and you can give it commands via X or Twitter or whatever you like to call it, Twix, some people call it. I kind of like that one myself. You can actually donate, you can actually send crypto through this program. So we're going to talk about that. That is a way on X you can support the channel if you want. And do give a shout out to our sponsors, Non-Fungible Domains, for that .algo address. In fact, I talked with Nyla about, that's one of the next steps, is they're going to implement NFTs. So to make it way easier to send stuff via X. And it's one of those, it's like kind of the first step for crypto projects. It's like you got to support NFT because so many people have them and use them. And so that's cool. But non-fungible domains usually have a link in the description, so you can check that out. I just think it makes doing everything on Algorand way easier. And then we're also brought to you by Marcus Aurelius, which is a meme coin and NFT project on the Algorand blockchain. I really like these guys and what they're doing. So it's spreading the word about stoicism, combining stoicism and the blockchain and memes, and they're really active, and that's one thing I like to see from a project. So anyway, do support both of those, and we definitely support those. That's why we love them. But enough about that. Oh yeah, if you're new to the channel and you haven't liked, hit the subscribe button on YouTube. Very much appreciate that, as always. If you're not following me on X, please do so, and give the video a like if you're watching it. So hopefully that'll go out to more people. I've had I'm really looking forward to X adding some monetization features, because I usually get my biggest reach on X, and I've had some really big ones. I've had it, gosh, I had I had almost like 500 people watching on X one time, I think. In fact, I don't remember maybe it got up to over 1,000. It was a lot. It was a lot. And yeah, shout out, if you're not following me on X, please do so there as well. And I will see your comments. Sometimes the X or the Kick comments, sometimes I don't get those right in my inbox. Sometimes I have to go to, because otherwise I get it right in OBS from X and from YouTube. And YouTube X comments, you know, I don't get a lot of comments on X. I don't get many on Kick either, but I don't have that many viewers on Kick, but more than I used to. I've kind of found out how to, like, at least get it to show up a little bit. So yeah, that's enough housekeeping, and should we just get right to the markets? Looks like the chat is really quiet today. I'm kind of surprised. But as always, Wait, did it put the, hold on a second. No, it's showing up correctly. Okay. I'm so confused about, sorry. It's showing me chat for, okay, let me make sure everything is working right. Hold on a second. Oh, Yuvra Patel is here. What's going on? What is going on? Welcome to the show. Says, hope you're doing good. I hope you're doing good as well. Jeffrey in the chat saying, good morning. I tried linking Orange Meme to Nyla, but kept getting configuration errors. I'm jealous of the algo holders on X to have it working correctly. Yeah, I'll be honest. There's a lot I have to learn about it. There's a lot I don't understand yet, and I haven't had a big amount of time to play around with it. Okay, so it's showing up normally. Yeah. No, it's really weird. Really weird. Something going on with my OBS where there's two different options, and all the views are coming up on an old title, and it has a toggle for the new title, and then nothing is happening on there. I don't really understand it. Yuvra says, what's the news on Algo and X? Yeah, we're gonna get, we gotta, well, the main thing is we're gonna cover a new platform that just got, I mean, it's been out, I guess, and it just got brought to the attention of the Algorand community. But basically allows you to send payments via X. You just make commands on X and you'll be able to send payments. It's pretty cool. Yeah, it's called Nyla AI, and it's an agent. It's an AI agent that sends algo or any cryptocurrency, including, and it's actually on 3 different chains too. So it's on Solana and Ethereum as well. So that's an important point. It's not just Algorand. Actually, they added, I believe they just added Algorand fairly recently. Well, we'll get into that. Yeah, we're gonna get into that news. Let's migrate over to the crypto charts. And first, I just have to pull that up. I keep forgetting. I got to make a separate thing for this, but because I always have to change the shape. That should be good, I think. And actually, I'm gonna move my camera over to the other side for this. Yeah, so getting into it, Bitcoin down to 115,000. Now, obviously, we have been up to, in the 120s, I believe, right? Hard to keep track at this point. I know we've been pretty high. What is our all-time high? I think we can find it if we go in the monthly chart here. Yeah, actually just touched under around 123, it looks like. It's hard to actually hit it, but yeah, right around 123. That's what I thought. So a little bit of a pullback, and I use that as an excuse. I've been buying in, basically buying in, DCAing into Bitcoin on dips, which is, I think, a pretty good strategy for Bitcoin at this point. I just decided I'm not taking profit on Bitcoin anymore. I'm just buying and holding for the long term. I'll buy more aggressively during bear cycles, but generally speaking, my aim is just to increase my Bitcoin holding, which is different from other stuff. Yeah, so Ethereum, we're at almost 3,700, down to 3,600. Actually, we were up quite a bit higher than that, obviously, and not a big as pullback as some, like XRP down to almost $3, and XRP was like $3.50. I'll talk about the algo target in a minute. We're going to get to algo in a second. Let's see. Yeah, the entire market's pretty much pulled back. Why don't we just look at anyone up? Something called Athena is up 10% over the 24 hours and almost 42% over the 7-day. Sky at 2.2% up, 4.6% on the week. Actually, Hedera up a teeny tiny amount. In fact, popping up in the last hour, and I can tell you exactly why that is. So I've been fond of saying like that news doesn't really move prices, but this one obviously is an exception because just in the last hour, it was announced that Hedera will be live on Robinhood. We are going to dive into that news more, but when we get to our Hedera segment, but that is obviously impacting the price. And that's about it. Not much up. Who's the worst dropper? Who dropped the worst? Pump.fun has been dropping like crazy. Very interesting to watch that. I don't know if it's going to continue, or some part of me wonders if that's not like a good little bet to make. Like, hey, maybe it will actually go up in the future. Sometimes these crashes after a launch are a really good buying opportunity, but I don't know for sure. It's a high risk bet. But if you put a small amount of money, you might be able to do something with it. Bonk falling back, Pudgy Penguin. So a lot of memes are now falling quite a bit. Even Dog with Hat. I've been debating whether to lower my buy-in with Dog with Hat by buying these dips, but part of me thinks I should just take the L. Yeah, all these. Look at all these. Down to Jasmine, we finally got like a real coin dropping. So many memes in this top. These top followers over 24 hours. What about 7-day? That's the up one. Oh, look at Tezos had a pretty good week. That's interesting. As far as like worst crashers, yeah, Pump was definitely the worst crasher in the top 100. Over a week, Sonic, Virtuals, Protocol, I don't know anything about that. Aptos, IOTA, and yeah, Algorand, one of the top ones, number 6 in terms of falling at 25 cents. So, and down 1.5% on the hour and almost 6% on the week. Gala up there too. Gala has not been able to crack that 2 cents for a while. You know, I'm not a big fan of Gala. I used to be. I thought, hey, this is a cool project. They got, I found Townstar, and Townstar was like a pretty fun game. I still think it is, although I haven't played it in a while now. But the Gala ecosystem has just been a disaster. I'd say S show, but I'm trying to keep it PC for the YouTube censors, but man, not great the way that it was. Everything wrong with NFT gaming, and it really made me quite bearish on NFT gaming as a concept. It seems like it's just easier just to play a game, like just buy a game and play it, versus like all these silly mechanisms and these, casino-like functions. Really, I mean, so the idea with NFT gaming is that you'd buy this NFT, and that would give you some insulation against like the game just canceling it, deciding, oh, actually this item doesn't exist anymore. It sounded great in concept, and the idea that you could port this to another game. First off, with the second thing, I have yet to see that actually materialize. I have yet to see the NFTs be allowed to be ported into another game. And do you know why? I mean, I've seen some cross promotions. Like I know Gala has done some of that, where if you have an NFT in another ecosystem, you could bring it over into that game for some benefits. But for the most part, they don't want that. You know why? Because they make money when they sell NFTs. So why would a new game say, oh, we'll just allow you to port all your other NFTs from another game? I mean, they might allow that to some specific function, like, oh, this gives you like plus 10 boost in this one area. But mostly they want you to own NFTs, because they don't make money if you don't buy NFTs. And Gallo is making a lot of money off NFTs, because they were selling all the NFTs that for games that barely existed. In fact, they would sell them for games that don't exist yet, and then they would have these games stay in perpetual beta. So the other premise where that falls apart is, yeah, you can keep the NFT, but they can just nerf it in the game. There's nothing that stops them from doing that. And in fact, that's what happened with Gala. So you bought these NFTs that were supposed to earn Towncoin, and then all of a sudden they just shut off that function. So yeah, you still own the NFT, but it's worthless to you now. And then they tried to gaslight you and say, well, how dare you care about ROI, right? Okay, so Yuvra asked about, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, by the way. You've asked about my price target, and that's kind of a complicated it's a complicated question, because I don't buy and hold Algorand. So all of my Algorand is current, almost all of it, besides like stuff that's like secondary coins or like Lofty tokens. Don't even get me started on that. Most of it is just held in DeFi. I'm providing liquidity and earning rewards, and then right now I'm in liquid staking. So I staked my Algorand. I got T algo in return, and then I take that T algo and I pair it with USDC, and so I'm using that to earn rewards. And so I'm not like buying and holding. So generally speaking, I've been saying like $2 to $3 is probably a pretty solid price range for Algorand. If it outperforms, it could hit 3 to 5. But what I would do, I think your target should be set based on your average buy. So if your average buy is around 20 cents, well, start thinking what multiples you'd like to shoot for profit taking. So if you bought at 20 cents, when we hit 40, I would start taking profits and take like 10, 15% off the top, and then keep doing that as it goes up. Or you can like shoot for a big high target and not sell anything, and maybe you hit it, but maybe you don't, and you end up round tripping. And when it goes back down, which it always does, and Algorand has hit new all-time lows in bear markets, so keep that in mind. It'd be different if, well, maybe you settle at 40 cents. Well, there's still you're still up, right? I don't think that's going to happen, though. I think it's going to settle below 20 cents again, but who knows? It could be different. You know, the thing with making predictions is like, it's kind of stupid to do so, in my opinion. I mean, we have to do it. People always ask, and it gets views. And so I try to think of a way to fill that need while still being intellectually honest. And if anyone's honest, they just don't know. They may have guesses. They may have like, well, this is what I'm going to do when it gets to this point or that point. But I don't think it makes sense to like say, oh, I think it's going to hit $3.22. I'm like, yeah, you can say that, but I've never seen anybody's price prediction be like spot on like that. I think a range makes sense. Some people get mad when you say that. Anyway, Yuvra says, what would be your suggestion on how much Algorand one should hold? Dude, that's impossible to say because it's going to be different for everybody. What I will say is, I think crypto should be a somewhat small part of your overall portfolio. I think a big part of it should be in just boring old index funds, which a lot of my net worth is. That's the bulk of my investments. Crypto is a subset of that, and I don't hold any one coin more than, let me think about how to word that. I think you should have a basket of cryptocurrency. Does that make sense? I think you should have at least 8 to 12, because you just never know what's going to pump. You know, a lot of the ones I thought were going to be surprise hits turned out to be surprise duds, and they were hits early on. I took profit from them. I probably should have taken more, but you know, I just assumed it was going to go higher. You know, PYR was one of my more risky bets, and early on it looked like it was going to pay off. It was up crazy amounts. I was like 3-4x up, and I took profits, but now it's crashed back down. So if that makes sense, I'm just so anti-maxi because I think you just really never know. Things will surprise you in bull markets, and everything kind of goes up, and then some will just be like, whoa. So like, I don't love Solana. I think it's, as a platform, I think it's garbage for numerous reasons, but I still hold it because you know what? It tends to go up, and it has. And I'm actually well in profit. I'm in moonbag territory on my Solana, so I can't lose now. But that's the real goal, is like, if you can get your initial investment pulled out so that everything is basically profit, that's a good place to be. CMDR Viriatus says at least all-time high. And that's a complicated question too. And here's why. Do you mean the botched launch? The Dutch auction botched launch all-time high? Or do we mean this, like, I think it was more than $2.14. But do you mean this $2 plus? I remember it being a little bit higher than that. But do you mean that all-time high? Which one do you mean? Right? I mean, I've been saying $2 to $3. To me, this one on the left here doesn't count. because that was just a botched launch. It just went poorly. You know, I mean, look how much it's sunk down in such a short amount of time. That you don't want. So I think $2 to $3 is a pretty reasonable target, and that to me would be an all-time high, because I don't count this $3.15, but some people do. I mean, if you want to be, you know, you want to be what's the word I'm looking for? Pedantic about it? Yeah, you could say that all-time high, but I'm thinking somewhere in the $2 to $3 range if everything goes well, and you know, we'll see. I have. Now my other plan, because you also asked, let me see. Anyway, it says, Yuvra says, totally agreed on getting a chunk of money out when it starts going up. I'll tell you, the people I started watching in crypto back in 2017 told me about profit taking. Well, actually, I should take that back. I wasn't watching. The problem was when I first got into crypto in 2017, I just bought. It went up like crazy. I had no idea about the cycles. And when it got to like crazy amounts and I started seeing some crazy stuff, like people taking out second mortgages to buy Bitcoin, I was like, uh-oh, that seems like bubble territory. I'm just going to sell. I took all this profit. It started going down a little bit. I'm like, okay, that's my sign. Selling everything. Sold it all. So all completely out, put it in my bank account, and that was the end of it. And yes, I made money, but if I had kept some supply, and you know, Bitcoin early on, I think Bitcoin has staying power, and I didn't necessarily know that at the time. If I had just simply been buying and holding, I probably would have done a lot better overall. But I don't think that for some of these other coins, because you just never know. They fall off all the time. I think Algorand's going to stick around. I do. So that's why my strategy is a little bit different. So the one thing, when you talk about price targets, I have a very different price target for Algorand because I'm planning to do things a little bit differently. So what do I mean by that? Well, like I said, most of my Algorand holdings are in DeFi right now through liquid staking on TinyMan. But I've calculated that my rewards will actually be higher when Algorand reaches about 40 cents. So 40 cents is kind of the cutoff where I'm going to go back into ready pools to earn pure Algorand versus earning Tiny token, which has gone. In fact, I might have to revisit that because Tiny has gone down and down, and we will get to that in a second. It's gone down and down, and so that's really bad. And that means less and less on daily rewards. I'll just actually earn more on average, because it's an average. I found it was about, with the basket I had, it was about, with the amount of Algorand I was staking, which is around 49,000, I think. It was about average of 6.26 a day. So then I make much more if I'm on Ready Pool. So I'm going to make that switch, and channel members will probably get that first. By the way, channel members get videos before anyone else, starting at the $1 tier, and then higher tiers get specific videos for channel members that no one else gets. So if you're interested in that, definitely check that out on our community tab. But while we're talking about that, why don't we get to... Let's check out the rest of the ASA market, which is, well, not doing so hot. Yeah, look at Tiny. Look at Tiny, how much Tiny has dropped. 1 point. Yeah, and they're showing this like 7 day, or this 24-hour gain. Yeah, that's great, but it's actually down 21% on the week, sitting at less than 1.5 cents. And, you know, my thesis originally around the Tiny token was that it seemed to be staying between the 2.5 and 5 cents range. That is no longer the case, but there's not a lot to get excited about. Everything is just down. Monko's still technically up on the week, but falling like everything else. Yeah, Opulus up a little bit. Alpha is still up on... Alpha's been at least not falling as much. And that one's still up on the week, so that's very good. But yeah, nothing really to get too excited about. Anyone really tanking? Well, Tiny. Tiny's the worst one on here, I think. It is, yeah. Oh, that's bad. Are we out? Oh, come on. All right, well, welcome back, everybody. Back on YouTube. Got an error. Oh. Okay, we're back on X. Wow, we just lost a big chunk of audience. I don't know what happened there. And we're still not reconnected on Kick yet. Thanks everybody. Sorry, we're back on. I think we stayed on YouTube pretty easily, but not so much on X. I just lost everybody on X. Oh man, that's the worst. Well, hopefully that will come back. In the meantime, let's boy, I wish I had more good news to report. And I've been wanting to let me look for this a second, because I think I found one for Hedera as well. And don't worry, we got a lot of news segments. Jeffrey says all good on YouTube. Yes, it looked like YouTube returned right away. X took a little while, and boy, it just, I have like one person watching on X now. And Kick has still not come back, unless, let me see if I refresh it. Oh yeah, it's back. Okay, good. Seems to be back on Kick now as well. Huh, very strange. Anyway, let me see if this is what I think it is. Oh yeah, so this is this is the Salt exchange, and we can use this to track how coins are doing on Hedera. So we had one for Algorand, and now we have a Hedera one. Unfortunately, and this is kind of important, is this a week? Is this 24 hours? Is this 1 hour? I don't know what this is. I'm gonna guess it's 7-day, but why wouldn't you put that somewhere? All right, well, at least we got something. This is a start. Looks like best gainers are something called Gib. Never heard of it. Bonzo, Dino, Tune.fm. That's an interesting one, isn't it? Something Hedera based, but I think it's one of those like Spotify clones where you can earn crypto, invest in. I don't know. We have to look more into that. Tune.fm. HBAR Suite is doing well. Head Starter. Here's Sauce. Now, Sauce, I remember my Sauce was at like 22 cents at one point. So I had a fairly significant little bag of Sauce. HBAR X is doing well. It's just hard to put in the context when you don't know if this is... Wait, we can find out. Hold on. I know how I can find out. Oops. I know how we can find out. We just have to go... We just do a little comparison. Sauce. Yeah, it's up to 586. All right, that is... It's got to be the weekly. Let's go to 7-day. Maybe not. But it's up 82% on the month. That's crazy. Wait, what did it say Sauce was? 5%. I have no idea. I have no idea what time frame that is, because it doesn't make any sense, because even the 1 week on Coinbase says only 1.61. Unless it, and you know, it didn't really seem like it spiked. Maybe it's an hour. It could be an hour. I can't do an hour on here, so maybe. Well, hopefully they fix that at some point. There's a Steam on here. That's interesting. I doubt that has to do with, you know, like the Steam platform. Dovu is up there. Smack Karate in the gainers, and Pack. So Hashpack is the wallet I use on Hedera. In Karate, if you don't know, it's the coin behind Karate Combat, which I think is pretty cool. Actually, I like this. This might be like a hot take, but I like Karate Combat more than I like UFC. Anyway, so that's the Salt exchange, and I'm sorry, I should have moved myself back over so you could see it a little bit better, but that's that. Okay, yeah, that crash really hurt my viewership, unfortunately. Really lost a lot of people there. That's a bummer. Okay. Let's see. What should we talk about first? What do you think, guys? Should we talk Hedera? Should we go Algorand, or should we go Ondo? I want to do Ondo today. I want to do Hedera, and I want to do Algorand. The Algorand one's a little bit short, but like I'm going to spend a lot of time talking about this Nyla AI because I think it's really fascinating. So we're going to spend a little more time doing that today for sure. But overall, I think that segment, there's not a ton of items for that, but we're going to do one. So Algorand, Ondo, or HBAR, which one do you guys want first? Let me know in the chat. And I'm going to leave that for a little bit more while I look through what I got here. Otherwise, we can go, I'm thinking HBAR first, because I think we got some big news. In fact, we can react to this video from Zach in a second here. We do got news about the folks finance card too, the new black card, which is pretty interesting. All right, well, I didn't hear any responses, so I think we're going to do Hedera first now. Like I said, when I do these segments, I like to just do the whole segment first. So I talk about the whole segment, and then I come back, and then I'll come back and answer questions. If the comment, if the chat is relevant to what I'm talking about, then I will bring it up in the middle of the segment. But if it's like non-related, I'll acknowledge it afterwards. So just so you guys know. So it's going to sound a little weird because I do these so I can clip them, okay? Let me get a little bit of coffee. HBAR is now live on Robinhood. That's right. We are going to look at this plus a number of other HBAR segments on today's video. And I thought this was really cool. I'm really hoping other coins like Algorand get on there too, but I think this is going to have an impact, and we're going to look at how it's going to have this impact. So let's start with the announcement, which just happened probably an hour, maybe a little bit more before I went live. Yeah, and this was tweeted directly from the Hedera Foundation. HBAR is now live on Robinhood app, bridging the gap between 25 million customers and Hedera's native token. As one of the largest retail trading platforms in the world, this marks a pivotal moment for accessibility to the network. People are very happy about that. Yeah, I think it's big. It actually is really big. Now, I want to say that some people will say, well, I'm not buying crypto on Robinhood. Are you crazy? Totally fine. Totally legit. And I should move this, by the way. That's definitely a legit opinion to have, but also keep in mind, this is bringing accessibility to for your favorite coin to a whole bunch of people who otherwise probably aren't going to even go on Coinbase, let alone like download a crypto wallet and do all that. There's just a lot of people who aren't going to do that. And so anytime these things, this is why the ETFs matter too, by the way, because it brings that liquidity from people who otherwise probably just aren't going to do it. You know, your boomer dad or grandpa, he's not going to go to Coinbase. You know, maybe he will. I mean, there's always exceptions, and someone will be like, oh, my dad did. Yeah, but most people aren't. Most people, they're not going to download a crypto wallet for sure. So this brings accessibility. And to highlight that, we have a comment from Zach Humphreys, friend of the channel, and I want to take a listen to what he has to say.
HBAR just got some huge news, guys. Welcome back to the channel. This is huge for HBAR. It's going to bring a lot more eyes on the project.
And by the way, he made this really fast. I'm very impressed with how quickly he got this out there.
this is some breaking news for you guys. All right, let's get it right into it. Just came out literally 15 minutes ago. HBAR is now listed on Robinhood. I literally just saw this come across the timeline. And some may look at this and say, okay, that's cool. But Robinhood is no joke, right? This used to be a platform where like only retail investors were there. Robinhood is becoming much, much bigger. I mean, institutional players are porting their entire portfolios over to Robinhood now, and it's now available to trade on Robinhood crypto. And because Robinhood recently, acquired a massive crypto company, they're going to be listing a ton of new assets. I also read that they're listing Lido DAO in the EU, but Robinhood put this out officially here this morning, just before 9 o'clock Eastern. And when we look at the price action, HBAR is popping up a little bit. We came down from 23 cents, popped up to 26 cents on the news as soon as that broke this morning. Actually was kind of front runned a little bit. People probably were able to buy it on Robinhood there. So we got a little pop in the price. We're up 2.6%, sitting at number 16 on the big board.
It's the exact same thing that I said, by the way. I thought, yes, absolutely. This is definitely moving the price, and I think it was reflected. I think we saw that.
And Hedera continues to be one of those top assets that you have to stay locked in on right now, in my opinion. It feeds into so many different areas that I think are going to be crucial to watch. Now, I kind of want to break down and just, talk to you guys, break down exactly why I feel this way. Real quick, though, check out my free newsletter, link down below in the description. You don't want to miss out on that, okay? It's totally free.
Speaking of, I have a newsletter as well. It's frugalbc.substack.com. You should definitely check that out as well. I've been I've been basically posting every Friday now. Kind of built it. I kind of built it into my my work plan or my routine, basically. So now Friday morning, that's one of the things I do is I write the newsletter before the live stream. So check that out for sure.
Free to join. You're going to get this 3 times a week. And real quick, a word from our sponsor, DFlow. You can trade all the top tokens, new tokens, over 6 million cryptos right when they're launched. You don't have to wait until they get to main exchanges. So there's a link down below to DFlow. Check it out. Really cool application. And you guys can start trading all the top assets.
Should I get this one? Maybe this would be a good affiliate link to have. Anybody use this? Let me know in the chat if you use this.
Very, very low fees as well over on DFlow. So give that a look. I'll leave that link down below. And of course, the newsletter is totally free. So you got to check that out. So with all that being said, so HBAR gets listed on Robinhood. Why are we still speculating on HBAR? Why are people looking at it as a viable option? Let's start first and foremost with its enterprise grade technology. Keep in mind, Hedera isn't necessarily a blockchain. Okay, it uses hash graph consensus mechanism, which,
man, HBAR people, hey, I love you. I love you guys. Man, you guys will flip out on somebody if they call it a blockchain. But the problem is, and I guess you could say ledgers, but it's hard to have a collective category, but also include Hedera. But yeah, I remember one of my first HBAR videos I ever made, I used the word blockchain and people flipped out on me. They were so mad. It's true, it's accurate, but come on, guys, like there's not a good collective, word for some of these things. So sometimes you just have to you just kind of have to word it that way.
Which is a little bit different from traditional blockchains. It offers a higher throughput, lower latency. That means you have finality time in the low seconds. And then it also provides what's called fair ordering. And this is making it very, very suitable for real world high volume applications. And HBAR is super well positioned in the RWA space because of this, and especially in industries like finance, supply chain, the Internet of Things, these sort of areas. Now,
even more so, I think its biggest use, and I think this will probably be true of Algorand to some degree as well, but HBAR is very much positioning itself for this. Agent-to-agent payments and AI payments in general. And so they have 2 different AI focused studios just for AI and payments. And why? Because you need this stuff to happen really fast. Can't be slow. Has to be fast. you can't wait 2 days for a bank to do anything agent to agent. It's got to happen because it's going to happen really fast. The velocity of money is actually crypto's biggest use case. And I don't know if a lot of people understand that yet. I mean, you can talk, DeFi is great, decentralization is great, but honestly, the speed of money, the velocity of money is very important. And it's one of crypto's biggest assets. And that's why people are interested in crypto.
Now, in addition to all of this, keep in mind HBAR, all while the SEC has been very harsh on most of the crypto industry prior to this new regime coming in, HBAR has always been looked at as one of those assets not deemed as security. And part of that is its strong governance council. They're governed by global enterprises that include Google, IBM, Boeing, Standard Bank, LG, Ubisoft, Dell, and each member here, they all run a node which helps governance decisions, bringing credibility, decentralization, which is crucial, and stability to the project.
So I admit that's one area where I think Hedera actually should be more decentralized. I agree with the credibility part. It's a big deal to have like all these big companies, you know, well-known household names that are like, yeah, we're on board with HBAR. That's one of the things that it definitely, he's right, it does lend credibility. But I have concerns when you have a handful of companies that are picked by the foundation to run nodes and no one else really can. To me, that's not centralized enough or decentralized enough. Sorry. So I want to see more in that direction. And I think they're starting to set up for that. But that's one thing that I definitely would like to see different.
This is one of the reasons why the SEC has never looked at HBAR as a security. And it has a ton of real world use cases because HBAR is powering applications like carbon credit marketplaces, supply chain tracking. It's good for micropayments. And then, of course, tokenized assets and DeFi. So all of these real world integrations, I think, are going to drive long-term demand and utility for the HBAR token, especially when it gets its ETF. And I think they're going to be in multiple basket ETFs as well. Hedera is also one of the most energy efficient distributed ledgers. Okay. It claims to be basically carbon negative, which is going to be appealing to any of the ESG conscious investors and enterprises, which there are a lot of them out there.
Yeah, in fact, Algorand's pretty high up there, and also claims that via carbon credits and that they buy and stuff like that. But as I recall, like Algorand basically takes like 10 city blocks worth of electricity to run a year, which is not very much. It's quite a. That's the figure I recall, and actually Hedera is even less than that. So he's right about this for sure. There's way less electricity. It's very minimal to run both Hedera and Algorand, but especially Hedera. It's usually number one when they study it.
Okay, and the utility for the HBAR token specifically makes a lot of sense. You're basically using HBAR to pay network fees. You could stake it, and you're doing it to secure the network, and that's why they have so many big players on board. The tokenomics look really good. They've got a total supply of 50 billion HBAR, circulating supplies slowly increasing through scheduled releases. They've done it the right way, which, you know, some investors prefer for predictability. They want to see that whole timeline, which they've laid out for everybody. I like that personally because you know exactly when there's going to be token unlocks, etc. You can kind of find entry points that way. Listen, when HBAR was
people
down
get
there,
so mad about
forever,
that though. People get so mad about those entries. People, whenever there's a token release, people get so irritated. And it's like, dude, they gotta like release the coins. It has to come out at some point in some way. So people like really flip out about it. It's like it's part of the crypto cycle. It's like you can't just, what are they gonna do? Just hold on to them? Like you always have a release token because you need to put that liquidity in the market.
We were accumulating. We were telling people, hey, it's not going to stay this boring for long. And now you're looking up, and HBAR, you know, sitting here basically from that 5-cent bottom has done a 5x. It's back to a $10.5 billion market cap. So I'm very excited about kind of where things are going in the area of RWA and ISO plays. HBAR's right up there with XRP and XLM, Algorand. It fits right into that mold. Like there's 5 cryptos that I really, really am focused in on and building out strong positions. It's XRP, XLM, HBAR, Ondo, and Algorand. Those 5 for me are kind of my my staples.
Yeah, that's a pretty good basket. That's pretty close to the ones that I typically focus on. Like I said, we're going to have an Ondo segment coming up a little bit later. The only one I don't pay much attention to is XLM. And maybe I should. I don't know. But I just, you know, there's only so much bandwidth. But yeah, interesting that we almost completely converge on the same coins. I pay a little bit of attention to Near, although I haven't heard much out of them lately. But otherwise, that's pretty much spot on for what I do.
Right. And so I wanted to update you guys. We got the listing on Robinhood. That is huge. Here it is again. Robinhood official account listing HBAR. And we'll see, obviously, when things heat up on the retail side, just how much this is going to help, right? We may not feel it right away, but the fact that people are going to be able to get in the door via Robinhood is going to be huge for retail investors. So let me know your guys' thoughts down below. Again, shout out to our sponsor of this video.
Yeah, big shout out to Zach Humphreys. I think he's one of the good voices in this space. I'm a pretty big fan. And guess what? He follows Frugal BC, so obviously he has some pretty good taste. Or another way to put it is don't hold that against him, right? I wanted to look at this one too because I think this is interesting, and I'm going to take the headphones off. Oh, now I can hear myself. Am I louder when I put the headphones on? Because now I feel like I'm really loud. I thought this was interesting. Hedera to earn. I think I've talked about this before. Mine HTE just by completing social missions, installing apps, viewing ads, and checking in. HDEP earned can be exchanged 1-to-1 for HTE. Get 100% airdrop just for creating a wallet. Start your Web3 reward experience now. Anyone try this? I'm super interested in these. Nobody really commented on this post. It's pretty new. I never know what to make of things like these. I know there was a lot of like ones that just operated. There were like cash ones that operated similarly where you just like watch ads or watch videos and you get paid these minimal amounts. So I'm curious about this, but I always wonder like how these actually end up working out. It does say the #1 crypto earning app. It says get on Google Play, so I'm guessing it's not on iOS, or you have to go through you have to jump through some hoops maybe to get that to work. I thought I'd just like bring that up because I thought it was interesting. I think I had some more other Hedera news. Let me see. We're gonna get to that. Yeah, we talked about that. Oh yeah, this is the big one. This is a big one too. I want to talk about this because it says important update for Hedera users starting January 2026. So beginning of next year, basically. Hedera's consensus submit message price moves from 0.0001 cents to 0.0008 cents. Why? Long-term sustainability, predictable pricing, still one of the lowest cost options in Web3. So, this is a conversation that goes on a lot in the Algorand space. There's a lot of people that talked about potentially doubling the price because right now it's bringing in next to nothing. It's not really sustaining. It's not really sustaining the operations for the foundation or Inc., which really ought to be combined together at this point. I think it's silly to have two. That's just my opinion, but I think it's kind of silly to have both. So I think this, I think this makes some sense, but that conversation has been going on. So it's interesting to see Hedera actually going from, this is like an 8x increase, right? Let me think, yeah. Going from 1 to 8. And still, that's still like, we're talking, let's see, this would be 1 penny, 1/10 of a penny. So 8/100ths of a penny versus 1/100th of a penny. Still minuscule. And I know these things add up over time, but I think at these, I think this kind of makes sense. And so this doesn't surprise me to see this at all. I think you could do this on Algorand also, by the way. I think, and what I think too is, because people say, well, what about when the price goes up? Well, if the price goes up, you could just lower it back down. I think it's incumbent on, I think we want to keep, it's going to be a long time before, and I don't know if there's ever a space where there's no foundation, like supposedly there's supposed to be, but you're always going to need people to build on the network, and stuff like P2P, which is hopefully coming in the roadmap. We'll get into that. I just don't know that you ever get rid of a foundation's need unless you just decide, yeah, it's everything we need it to be. It doesn't need to improve at all, and we're done. And then how much goes to governance, that's an option too. But anyway, yeah, so I don't think this is a bad thing. I think this will probably help keep the thing sustainability, like you said, long-term sustainability. Now, the difference, of course, is that Hedera's is a fixed price in USD, whereas Algorand, it's measured in algo, it's not measured in USD. So it changes with the price of the token. Hedera's doesn't. This is fixed no matter what the price of Hedera is. So those are two big differences, and it'll be interesting to see if one has an impact over the other. My sense is people like a fixed price. Oh, Jeffrey, sorry you got to run, buddy. I can get to your question, but well, you'll have to watch later. We'll get to it on the Algorand segment, maybe. I think that's all I had for Hedera news. Oh, I did want to see, actually, let me go back because I want to see if, and Jeffrey, good to have you here, buddy. I did want to see if, how people responded. 8x the cost of transacting, you expect corporations, institutions to just say, okay, well, actually, yeah, I do think so, because there aren't really that many people using it now, and the volume is very low. So I think this is a good time to do it before the volumes get really high, but that's just me. I shouldn't say no one's using it, but like the TPS has been really, really low. I mean, actual TPS, not theoretical. Yeah, people don't seem happy about it. 800% price increase in consensus service is pretty crazy. I get it, that's more sustainable, and that the ecosystem development orgs have wasted huge amounts of capital, so action must be taken, but dang, maybe let's tighten the belts a little bit. Still a fraction of what most networks charge. Yeah, by the way, like Cosmos, 8 cents. 3 to 5 to 8 cents. This is still like next to nothing. It's still cheap, but if they can 8x the price with zero public consensus, then they set a precedent that they can do whatever the heck they want. Building on Hedera risks suddenly huge increase in cost. That's not a bad point, actually. That's actually not a bad point. Without a roadmap saying, yeah, we're going to increase this much, that's a kind of a good point. Because people don't want to. I would be concerned if my prices can suddenly go up 8x without any input. That's, yeah. No, I think he's onto something there. Hedera is telling the markets we're planning for high volume usage at enterprise scale and needs sustainable, predictable economics. Well, I mean, it was predictable before though, right? Like, increasing the price doesn't change predictability. In fact, it actually decreases predictability. I think it'll be a bigger deal if they keep doing this. Yeah, because a good point. Rezo Bob says that is the opposite of predictable pricing. It's like, well, you just change the price. Yeah. Now, I would say it's a bigger deal if they do this all the time. This person says should have just made it 1/10 of a cent at this point. I mean, it's pretty close. Yeah, so not everybody happy about it, but overall, like I don't necessarily hate it. Other people might disagree. I think that was the only. I just want to see if there's any more. Well, we did have another one from Zach, but I think one more to talk about. This from Saucer Swap Labs. I don't know. Do you guys use Saucer Swap? I'm waiting for Hedera to reach the range where my V2 pool will be back in operation. Because what happens if the price changes too much, your pool just shuts down, which is crazy. Nothing like that works on Algorand that I've seen, so very unusual. Anyway, $4 billion all-time volume. That's a lot. So congrats to Saucer Swap on that. I just, I'd stay away from the V2s because it just doesn't work that well. I'd stick with V1. I feel like I know that guy. Am I following him? I actually am following that guy. Bonzo, always the Bonzo finance guy. Yeah, I think that's the end of my Hedera segment. So we got some of our viewership back, but yeah, that cutoff really hurt us. By the way, would streaming earlier, would people rather see that? Because I've thought about doing that instead, and then I'd maybe move my live stream to, or I'd maybe do Thursday where I'd post my newsletter instead. Would that work better for people? I'm just curious because well, it's temporary, but there's some stuff sometimes, like things are going on later on Friday morning and I always have to skip them because I live stream. And it occurred to me maybe my audience is, according to my studio, my audience is around pretty early in the morning as well as now. So I could do it at like 8 or something maybe. Or even 7. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I do like drinking my coffee and doing this though. So by the way, as a little break, and then we're going to get back into our next segment. Actually, no, not too many people responded. I asked people on X if they were buying the dip, and if so, what are they buying? So I'd be curious to hear in the chat what you guys are buying, if anything, on the dip. I bought a little bit of Bitcoin. Like I said, my plan with Bitcoin is just to accumulate at this point, which I think I should have been doing all along. But hindsight is 2020 sometimes, right? So let me know while I'm setting up the next segment. Okay, I really gotta go. Shoot. All right, I gotta take a little break. Just give me a second and we will do the next segment. Actually, I will, you know what? Yeah, just give me a break. But while I'm gone, let me know in the chat what coins you're buying, if anything, and in this dip, and I will be right back. Okay, I'm back, and Mr. Erded said I don't know what to buy. Yeah, so it kind of depends on a lot of things. For example, I'm not really buying anything right now because, except for Bitcoin, because my whole thing about Bitcoin is, basically buying and accumulating. So I'm just waiting for dips, pullbacks, and I'm just buying on pullbacks. And I'll keep doing that all the way through the whatever the bear market is, because my goal is just to accumulate more Bitcoin. But everything else is, and then my Algorand is all in DeFi, so that's kind of a different thing too. Yeah, and then the stuff I bought for the bull market, I'm just waiting for it to come to fruition. So that's kind of my strategy. Yeah, though, is what to buy. I mean, it kind of depends on your thesis and what you're going for. Why don't we do the Algorand segment next? Because I think this is a lot of fun to talk about. Like I always caveat, when I start a segment, I don't really respond to chats until that segment is over, because I like to clip those for YouTube videos. If it's relevant to what we're talking about, I will talk about it during the segment. Otherwise, I will respond to it after the segment. So a couple of really interesting things going on Algorand right now. And one of the first things I want to talk about, and we're going to get into Nyla AI because I think that's really interesting and one of my favorite things going on right now. But first is Folks Finance launching a new Founders Pass. So let's dive into this here. This is directly from Folks Finance saying 5 hours. Folks Founders Pass Black, 400 supply Algo Foundation. And, well, here's a little more about it, I think. Apparently it was $60. Not a talk about. Yeah, we'll talk about the sold out part. I would think these things are funny when they don't really talk about what they are. But you had to get whitelisted, but a lot of people got them that apparently, well, we'll get into that. I just find it funny when they talk about these things and they don't really say what it is. And I don't think they really had to. At any point, did they say what it was? Oh, here we go. Nope, just kidding. I'm still waiting for the part where they say what it actually is. It says Founders Pass goes live tomorrow. They give the supply, the price, the chain, and they don't tell you anything about why you might want it. Apparently, they didn't have to, as we will see. But I'm just trying to find. Oh wow, they added Say Network. Interesting. They did go multi-chain, which I actually think is smart, and I think they're still keeping with. Keeping up with Algorand, so I generally don't have a problem. But they also had a silver, they had a gold, and those all sold out. The Folks Founder Pass is tied directly to the future of Folks. What does that mean, though? So the gold one was on AVAX. Okay, interesting. I still don't know what this. I've how many tweets so far, and I still don't know what this is. Still. We're going to get into deposit Bauer points, Founder Pass, thank yourself later. Hearing rumors. It's your thing. Yeah, I've been going. I keep going through this. Oh, when Projector says, "Yo, I finally made it to your live cast. Let's go." Yes, let's go. I'm still looking for anything that explains why I would want a Founder Pass. Not one thing. Okay. Anyway, that's that. Well, despite not telling you at all why you might want this thing, MJ.Algo tweeted, just in, Folks Finance Black Founders Pass whitelist mint sells out in 1 minute on Algorand. So went really, really fast. That is crazy. Again, I don't know what you get for this. It doesn't tell you. It hasn't told you anywhere in all their tweets. They didn't say, like, here's why you might want this. This is crypto, I guess. So people weren't very happy about this. They screwed their initial and most loyal users with a 5-to-1 limit. 30 seconds, he says. Sold out less than 1 second. Pass my sass. Literal scam. Bullish. Total failure. So many people warned them about the 5 per wallet. Folks just burned through years of good faith, loyalty in 10 seconds. Oh, that's what they mean. You could have 5 per wallet. That's okay. Yeah, that's a really fair criticism. If you're going to put out this exclusive pass with only 400, definitely should be 1 per wallet. That's crazy. I don't think they care though, because they want to make, they just made a bunch of money on, well, what they make? 60 per wallet, $2,400. It's not like a huge, wait, per wallet. No, they made like 24,000, right? Yeah. Yeah, $24,000 they just made in, a matter of seconds. Amazing idiocy by the folks team in setting a 5 limit and not mitigating automation. Well, that's another good point. I don't know much about that, but congrats on the 10 actual physical people who each snagged 40. F this team. I mean, people are really not happy. This person got 2. Pretty unfair, to be honest. 1 to 5 is ridiculous. No, I think that's I think the criticisms are pretty legit. I didn't realize that they were having 5 per 1 wallet. That's a mistake in my opinion. That's a really bad mistake. And I'll be honest, like I used their staking once, or I lend some USDC for, which has pretty decent. If you actually go to this, let's go to this a second. I think this is worth pulling up. Right now you get about 10%. There's some variable and stable like stuff too, but this changes a lot. Right now you can get 3% lending algo and 5% lending depositing X algo. So I think I have a little bit. Yeah, I've actually got like $26 worth, and that's just from earning rewards. Actually, it was less than that. So yeah, it's not nothing. It's not nothing. I mean, that's a good, if you just want to if you just have cash and you want to stake it somewhere and earn rewards. I mean, that's more than you're going to get. That's more than you're going to get with, your bank account, which even my Wealthfront account's like 4.5 or something like that, which is unusually good, right? So, okay. So there's uses for it. And one of the things I'm going to talk about too, though, is we don't need any more DeFi platforms. We need more innovative stuff. And so the next thing I'm going to talk about is very innovative. And are we ready? Is there more folks stuff to talk about? Were people mad about this? Actually, let's go to their... I did not want to click on that. Yeah, so actually, Black Founders Pass sold out in 10 seconds. In total, 2,500 NFTs in the Folks Founder Pass collection were sold across 3 different chains. Shout out to our community. Base, Avex, and Algo Foundation. Congrats to anyone who secured one. If you're unable to secure Folks Founder Pass, there are plentiful opportunities to deepen your involvement in Folks Finance, points being one of the primary methods. Again, no idea what any of these passes are supposed to do. Just looking at all their socials, I have yet to see an explanation about why you would want one of these. I know why they want to sell them, because they just made... I don't know what they made on the other ones. I don't know what that cost, but they made 24,000 in one swoop on this one. And they'll probably, my guess, because I would do this, I do this every year, and you got 24 grand coming in. Plus whatever, I mean, just assuming they were the same price and supply, that's like 75 grand they just made in seconds. And Meta said, thanks for taking care of the OGs. This is sus. The very first wallet to mint a Black Pass has 0 TVL in folks finance on Algorand. Shout out to rewarding early users, LOL. This person got one of each. You get almost 100 million points. So I guess you get points for it. Crypto Trainer says, not the flex you think it is. Giant failure. You screwed us. I say with all this complete sincerity, F you all. F you folks finance and OG from the damn day one. We'll never forget this. I think that's crazy. You know, actually, it would have been a good idea to do one for the OGs, the people who've been with you all along. And then the next one for like outsiders or people who haven't been using it. Like when Tiny Man released their coin, I got a certain amount of Tiny sent to me. And that was for the amount of time I've used it. I think offering this to people who had been users all along would have been a great way to reward people who had been with you for a really long time. And they didn't do that. Some people happy, but most people, what a clown show for the Black Fastman. Yeah. So a lot of people very unhappy. A lot of OG Algorand people very unhappy. And I'm guessing they're laughing their way to the bank. And all right, cool, fine. That's our folks news, but we got more. So that one sounds like, I'm complaining about them a little bit. How should I start this next one? Well, I want to talk about this platform called Nyla AI, and I'm sure a lot of people now, they see AI in a title and they're like, oh God, another AI company. But this is really cool. So this is actually an AI agent. You'll see the Solana tag. I think it started on Solana, but it actually works with, well, here's a really, okay, first off, thank you for pinning a tweet that says what you actually do. Okay, step 1, +1 for Nyla, because man, one of my biggest, nothing annoys me more than these companies that like just can't explain what it is they do. It's so frustrating. Like, guys, you got, there's a saying called what it says on the tin. So your product should have, first off, on the tin, the wrapper, in this case, and web, it's your website, right? Should say very specifically and clearly and in very simple languages what your product does. And then you have to meet that. So one of the biggest success metrics, one of the reasons that businesses are successful is because they do what it says on the tin. So, it's very simple. Like if I buy an air conditioner, it says on the box, "We'll cool your house." And when I install the air conditioner, it should actually cool my house. And if it does that successfully, I'm a happy customer, right? Pretty simple. And you'd be surprised how many crypto companies don't get it. They'll say something like revolutionizing the synergies between blockchain and the real world. It's like, cool. That says nothing. That tells me nothing about what you do. So huge shout out to Nyla for telling you what they do. And what do they say? They say crypto just got social. Nyla AI lets you send tokens from Solana, Ethereum, and Algorand with only a tweet or a Telegram message. Hey, perfect. Tells you what it does. And by the way, it works. No crypto wallet, no problem. Agent Nyla generates one for you the first time you receive funds on X. Pretty cool. Nyla makes it easier for anyone to get started in Web3. I love this. I love this because it just says what the heck it does. Now, there's other stuff I think was really smart.
What is Nyla?
They got this pretty blonde lady avatar.
Nyla lets you send, swap, and trade tokens
is very
straight
memeable.
from X and Telegram.
She kind of looks like Samus from
and now
Metroid a
you
little
can
bit.
view and manage your liquidity pools too.
Wasn't that wild? Wasn't that a wild moment?
Instant wallet creation,
this
no
is too far
browser,
back
no
for some of you
extension,
folks,
no
but
confusing
learning
seed
that
phrases.
Samus was actually a girl. That was a bit of a
Now
surprise
Nyla's supporting
for a lot of
Solana,
us.
Ethereum, and Algorand.
Want to find your Nyla wallet address? Just head to our website, agentnyla.com, and sign in with your X. You'll find the wallet address on the dashboard. Any SPL, ERC20, or Algo tokens you send to the wallet can send out with a tweet. You can even export your wallet to an option of your choice. I recommend Para or Jupiter or MetaMask. I don't recommend MetaMask, but I get it. If you're doing Ethereum, I guess that's probably what you got to do. Yeah, view the full Nyla command usage on our website. So you have commands and you can just do that. You just tell the agent to do stuff. So it is an AI agent, which I think is really cool. It's not just, it's not just like an LLM or something. It's an agent that actually does things and you just have to command it. So how did I come across this? This is kind of funny, I think. I think I saved it. I hope I saved it. Yeah, here it is. I have the #1 thing on here, by the way. It's got like 3,200 views, which is crazy. Algorand Foundation sent this out just yesterday. Wait, actually 2 days ago, I guess. Was it 2 days ago? I thought this happened yesterday. Well, I think maybe I tweeted yesterday on the 23rd as well. Okay, anyway. You can unsend algo to anyone with X on X with a single tweet. No wallet, no problem. Agent Nyla is now integrated with Algorand. I was like, whoa. And I said, wait, what? I don't believe you. Send me 1 million algo to prove it. I'll send it right back, I swear. It didn't seem like they believed me. Oh, that's funny. So you might find this funny, but in response, a few different people sent me something. So Shax.Nyla, someone who works at Nyla, said, hey, Agent Nyla, transfer 2.2 algo to BC. That's me. And sure enough, I was like, no way. Amazing how the receiver will import the wallet. Amazing how the receiver will import the wallet. You can get your seed phrase. You can just take your wallet and put it into an Algorand thing. Or you can just have Nyla send your tokens to the wallet address instead of your username. So I haven't tried to send it to my wallet yet, but I will probably do that. And they're working on NFTs, and it doesn't support NFTs yet, but it says, actually, I just finished a conversation on NFT integration. We'll add NFT. It will be one way you can receive at your custom domain, but not send from it. So I think this is really cool. By the way, oh, they do have a GIF. I was trying to look for a Nyla GIF, and it didn't come up. So in fact, this is purely aesthetics, of course, but you can see they've been active in having these versions of Nyla created. None of them are really like not safe for work, but some may be a little more appropriate than others. I think that one's really cool. That's fun. I like that. They have one with Algorand now. Oh, here's an Algorand one. I didn't even see that. I like that. Oh, that's even better. That's really cool. I should have put that on my header instead. So anyway, big fan of this. I think this is really neat. And what I like about it, and this is what I said in my newsletter today, like to me, this is the stuff I get excited about because they're trying something different, instead of just the same thing over and over. We just don't need another DeFi platform. There's plenty, and so many are failing right now because there's not a market demand for it. But there's a market demand for new stuff like this, because this has it's not only just kind of a gee whiz factor, although I think it is. What I think is cool is that you can actually, this would be a great for I don't know, hint, if people on X were watching my live stream and they wanted to tip me, this is a way you could tip somebody and do it pretty easily. You can do it with their X handle. So this is a great way for monetization for creators on X, or, even just you like someone's tweet and you want to send them a little something. So you'll be able to send them any ASA and it'll just sit in that asset inbox, which I think is really cool. So this is one of the ones I'm really excited about. And a lot of people are now really excited about this project. So I want to bring that up because I think it's really neat. And I think that might be, I got one more piece of Algorand news for you. And that is this Algorand roadmap will be released on July 31st at noon Eastern. So that's 11 Central Standard Time, which I have a meeting at 10 a.m. So I'm going to rush back because I'm going to live stream this. A live stream reveal is coming, full tech roadmap, no filters. So I'm basically going to have all my live streaming stuff ready to go. And so I can come back from my meeting and basically hit the live stream button and get going. And that's my plan. So we will be live streaming on Friday. Maybe instead of Thursday. Thursday, that's July 31st, is a Thursday at 11 CST or noon Eastern or whatever that is on the West Coast. I don't know. And that's the plan. So I might take Friday off from live streaming. We'll see. Because I might live stream Thursday instead. Maybe I'll make a video. I don't know. We'll see. But the roadmap is coming. And I think there was some confusion because I think people thought this was last week, but and it's not this week either. They did initially say like it was supposed to happen like a week or two ago. But the actual board meeting that approved the roadmap was this week, Wednesday. So it happened 2 days ago as I record this. So it definitely wasn't going to happen before that. But I guess a lot of us thought it would come this week because the meeting was this week, but it looks like next week they're going to do a full live stream, and we're definitely going to cover that here. So stay tuned and definitely watch out for that. But I think that's all my Algorand news. I already covered this, but I do think this meme pool variation, this meme pool visualization is pretty cool. I don't totally understand it, but it seems pretty cool. Yeah, I think that's it. All right, so one more segment to get through, Ondo, and we'll get to that for sure. How's everyone doing? Got a chat on Kick, but it's one of the spam ones. I always get that. By the way, if you're watching on YouTube and you haven't already hit the like and subscribe button, please do so. Always happy to have our YouTube audience here on X. Please also hit the like button on the video, and go ahead and hit the retweet button too. Share it to more people. Let's get this going around to some folks. And if you're on Kick, if you haven't followed us, I'd love a follow from you. Also, you can gift subs on both YouTube and Kick, just so people know. And I didn't get a lot of response to what people are. Interesting that it says 4 now. Oh, because of that. And I don't really know. Actually, I'm kind of curious. Did it create 2 different videos? Oh, yeah, it split it. Yeah, because it just started a new stream. It didn't. So when it kicked off, when it kicked off and kicked back on, it actually started a new stream. That's very interesting. I'm surprised about that. So I'm just trying to give my voice a little bit of a rest. One thing I should be mindful of, I've heard you're supposed to drink a lot of water like a couple hours before you speak, and that will help keep your voice in good shape. So maybe I'll have to remember to do that. Yeah, so anyway, we'll be live streaming on Thursday instead of Friday, I think, because we're going to cover that event. I do occasionally do Monday evenings, but not very often. It was kind of a surprise to me to learn. I would have just always assumed that I get more audience in the evening than in the morning, but it seems to be mostly morning. Just taking a little break before we get to the Ondo segment, and that is going to close out our thing here. Well, when you unsubscribed, how dare you? No. Really trying to get to 6,000. My goal, that 6,000 is a nice marker, I think. And then the next goal is 10K. Well, people ask, like, what are your goals? And actually, the main thing, I really want to get to 100,000 overall. That's the one I really want to get to. When Projector says, hopefully great news coming for Algo Thursday. I'll be looking forward to your video on that. Yeah, we're going to cover it live for sure. What are your goals? And actually, 18 likes. Let's get that up to 20. Get a couple more likes here. I want to shout out to top fans today. Capito777 is number 1, followed by Yuvra Patel at number 2, and Jeffrey, who I think is left now, at number 3. So, but all 3 actually technically tied with 75 experience points. Still don't really know what gets you. I can show you. There's the experience points. That's the top fans right now. So if you do a little more chatting, you can actually work your way up. I don't know what exactly leads to that. I know. Did I hear from? Yeah, I'm just trying to look. I think sometimes the name on here might be different than what appears. Oh no, this is CMDR. Okay. I can match the pictures. Okay, I see. Yeah, you did chat a lot, so still time to get on that leaderboard. At some point, I'd like to do something where let's put that back in the right place there. Someday I would like to do something where I reward people. One of the problems I've noticed is that when I've tried to do giveaways, I just can't get people to give me I've tried to give like rewards away to members, but I can't get them to give me their address. Both times I tried to do it, it just ended up not doing anything because it's very complicated. All right, let me set up this Ondo news. In fact, give me 1 second here. Okay, so as I always explain, when I'm in the middle of a segment, I just keep going. And this one's going to be about Ondo, so if you chat about Ondo and about what we're talking about, I will probably respond to it in the segment. If it's outside of the segment, then I'll wait till we're done. But I want to go through this because I think this is really interesting, and just so you're aware. So let me get a drink of water and we'll start this segment. So one of the projects that I've been paying attention to lately is called Ondo Finance, and they're doing some really cool stuff around tokenization of financial instruments. And I first heard them talked about on Wolf of All Streets, and that really caught my attention because I think they're actually doing some really cool stuff. And it's the kind of real world projects that I really gravitate towards. So I want to look at some Ondo Finance news today, but I actually thought for our audience, I would look at like, what is it? So I think the best person to go to is Ondo Finance themselves. And well, let's look at what they have to say about themselves. All right, so this is right on their explanation page. They say, welcome to Ondo. At Ondo, our mission is to make institutional grade financial products and services available to everyone. We believe that blockchain technology has the potential to improve both the infrastructure of and access to financial products and services. So that's really their main goal right here. It's access to financial products and services. And I like that they have a really narrow niche that, hey, we're focusing on this specific thing, and we're not going to try to, make games like everyone else or make NFTs, whatever, just purely financial products. I think that's wonderful. So we also believe that the best technical improvements need to be combined with the best practices from traditional finance, including investor protections, transparency and reporting, legal and regulatory compliance, and intelligence and robust product structuring, working with the best service providers and top-notch client service. One of the things, and I talk about this a lot, I think crypto often is really terrible at explaining itself. The whole, we're trying to revolutionize the blockchain space by maximizing synergies with the real world. It's like, I don't know what that says. That's nonsense. Here we have, this is just straightforward. Technical improvements, best practices from traditional finance, including investor protection, transparency and reporting, etc. That's really smart. It's really specific. And I like when crypto companies can talk specifically about what problem are you solving. Anyway, to help us do this, we have an asset management arm that creates and manages tokenized financial products, as well as a technology arm that develops decentralized finance protocols. So let's see, they have a list of their funds. And we'll look at this while it loads. 10 supported chains, 119 integrated projects, yield coin market share, and a 1.39 billion TVL. So they have a US, don't make that go away. I was looking at that. Oh, I hate all that scrolling stuff. So it's everything from, look at iShares to Tesla to US dollar yield coin. That's really interesting. We should look at more about that. NVIDIA on there. And it usually has a little own. So it's like on or own. I call it Ondo. Is it? Do people say Ondo or Ondo? Ondo sounds cool. I think it sounds like Odo from Star Trek. So that makes me happy. But yeah, you have on NVIDIA, on Tesla. So that's really great. I mean, these are just some of the holdings here. Apparently not available in the US. Interesting. Ondo Global Markets is a platform designed to bring traditional public securities on chain. Well, I can see why they wouldn't. And for us, this is the thing. Like, this makes it way easier. And I heard the founder of Ondo talking about this. It makes it way easier for people in other countries to get these. So, like, Algorand has an ETF now. So does Hedera, I believe, or an ETP, sorry, in Switzerland or Sweden. And so this is a good way for people in those countries where they don't have the same access to, like, buying Tesla stock or NVIDIA. They can do this very easily through these instruments. So it's not necessarily for us, but you can benefit by owning the coin, which, considering we got a dip, that might be a good time to buy in. So anyway, I want to go to some Ondo news. And here's one right here, straight from Ondo. Global Markets Alliance welcomes Zodia Custody as its newest member. Zodia Custody is the institution's first digital assets custodian, backed by Standard Chartered and Northern Trust, SBI Holdings, National Australia Bank, and Emirates NBD. Their focus on security and compliance aligns with the Alliance's mission to bring capital markets on chain with the right infrastructure and standards in place. So I like to call this kind of the boring but important stuff, because you read it and your eyes kind of glaze over a little bit. But this is the stuff that, with this stuff going on in the background, is what makes a project strong. When they start building these partnerships, start building these projects, this stuff really matters. What else is there? I know I got more Ondo. I thought this was kind of interesting. What stablecoins did for the dollar, Ondo is doing for securities. Recent coverage from Blockworks explores Ondo's recent acquisitions of Strangelove Labs and Oasis Pro, and what this signals ahead of a launch of Ondo's tokenized stocks, ETFs, and more. The vast majority of regulated financial assets will settle on blockchain rails in the future. That's not a crazy prediction. This is the CEO of Ondo Finance, Nathan Allman. I think he's the person. I heard on the Wolf of Wall Street's space the other day. The view is increasingly shared across the industry, from BlackRock's Larry Fink to Franklin Templeton's Sandy Cole Blockworks reports. And Algorand got in on this too, by the way. One of the first, I think the first publicly traded company to have its stock tokenized was Exodus, and that is on Algorand. I think they're 100% right here. And Ondo, I think, is really leading this space. Regulatory tailwinds combined with the emergence of institutional-grade infrastructure are transforming on-chain capital markets from niche innovation to global financial rails. So these are all projections, but they're really showing a lot of increase. So very, very interesting stuff. And I think Ondo is trying to be at the forefront of this. And here's another one. Bird Eye joins Global Markets Alliance. What is Bird Eye? Billions in real-world assets are coming on chain, and Bird Eye powers this data so you can trade smarter. We're proud to join Ondo Finance's Global Markets Alliance, bringing real-time, transparent, and accessible tokenized stock ETF trading data to everyone. With 1 billion already tokenized, Ondo leads the RWA tokenization. You think that's true? It's definitely a big focus of what they're doing. This summer, Ondo Global Markets bring all investors and traders 100 plus assets at launch, 100,000 plus by year end, instant RWA tokens, mint and redeem, deep RWA liquidity. So, they're really cooking stuff over there. I think that's great. So we should look at Zach Humphreys. I see the chats. We're going to get to it after the segment. Zach Humphreys had an interesting video, and I think we should watch some of it. We're not going to watch all this. It's 10 minutes, but I want to watch a little bit of this.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back here to the channel. It's time to take a look at Ondo Finance and give an updated price prediction on where Ondo could potentially go. Some analysts have been saying a few things about Ondo here the rest of 2025, and it fits a lot of the big narratives right now. Obviously, it's tied in with Ripple, XRP. They're tokenizing U.S. treasuries and equities right now, and there's a lot of chatter about an Ondo ETF. Recently, 21 shares filed for an Ondo ETF. It's one of the big companies that are filing for a lot of ETFs with HBAR, XRP, Solana, and now Ondo kind of fits into that mold. We kind of started looking at Ondo way back at 50 cents, and what jumped out to me at first was their ties with BlackRock and JP Morgan Chase, right? And right away, it kind of piqued my attention. And then obviously the newfound partnership with Ripple really kind of solidified my stance on Ondo. It's become kind of one of my mainstays in the portfolio. It's been pretty.
That's a big deal, by the way. And we actually did cover that. I think last week we covered that. So pretty exciting stuff.
Predictable. To this point, it hasn't really exploded yet per se, but they have a ton of money locked up in their ecosystem for, the size of their market cap. And I think there's obviously a huge path forward, especially once we get, the Clarity Act through and we start to see a lot more ETFs actually push through outside of Bitcoin and Ethereum. So wanted to kind of dive into what some of the analysts are saying. We'll take a look at the charts as well and kind of give you guys our thoughts. Make sure you guys are subscribed if you're not already. Hit the like button for us. Definitely helps us out. But one analyst is targeting the $2.80 level as the token is starting to form a bullish pattern above $1. And we'll get into that specifically here. Real quick, as we're talking about, crypto and some of the plays I like, highly encourage you guys to check out my free newsletter. Actually, not even highly encouraging, just go do it. It's totally free. Drop your email down there along with your name. It's the first link at the top of the description. I'll pin it as the top comment too. And you're going to be getting this 3 times a week. So if you're looking for wealth strategy.
By the way, I also have a newsletter that I dropped today, in fact, and I usually drop it on Friday mornings. So definitely go check that out because I think it's a great little newsletter, and I like to spread the word through that. Been being more consistent about it lately. That is frugalbc.substack.algo, and I will put a link in the chat as well.
Strategies in crypto. We're trying to build more wealth with crypto and stocks. I'm going to give you guys a bunch of free insights and information 3 times a week, and I'll leave that link down below. But Ondo at 280 seems like, it could be very, very feasible just on the surface, given where we've been already. Our previous all-time high is right up there near the $2 level, a little over the $2 level, actually. And if we look at the RWA sector right now, by market cap, you probably should have XRP up here. They don't, but it is a tokenization play. But they list Stellar here, Chainlink, Hedera, Avalanche, Ondo, and Algorand, all here in the top 50. These are all assets that I currently own, and I'm going all in on the RWA sector. Now, Ondo specifically, sitting at a $3.2 billion market cap, coming down a little bit from its peak. We topped out here at like 113 on this previous run. If we zoom out to the all chart or even take a look at our all-time high, $2.14 is our all-time high right now, and we're about 52% away from that. It was set 7 months ago in late 2024. And I think we're going to fly past that $2 level. As soon as we get into some price discovery, we get some good information related to the Clarity Act and ETFs through. And this to me is going to be one of those assets when it has an ETF, the institutions are going to pour in here because of the big names associated, with the asset, BlackRock, JP Morgan.
Yeah, I think he's right there. There's a lot of interest in this because of the type of interactions that they're doing, because they're specifically targeting the market around financial instruments. I think a lot of the institutions are paying attention to this. So I think he's right. I think he's definitely right. So my Twitter's blowing up. I'm guessing it has something to do with the folks Black card. Well, anyway.
Chase, Franklin Templeton, obviously Ripple, XRP. So some analysts are giving kind of a short-term forecast of.
We're not going to cover this whole thing, by the way. I just want to give a little more of the forecast and talk about it. But I'm definitely interested in buying Ondo. I'm just deciding if I should buy it now or maybe wait a little bit, wait till the next bear market. I'm not sure. Probably something to be made off of it right now.
$2.80, and it's supported by some technical chart data showing an ascending triangle. So despite the bullish prediction, Ondo currently trades a little above $1 right now, and the chart from TradingView outlines an ascending parallel channel that has guided Ondo's movement since mid-2024. And so we've got a lower support trend line around 70 cents, and we've seen Ondo's price come down and test this 70-cent level quite a few times, actually, and it seems to bounce off this pretty hard every time. Now we've got a midline support, really resistance still right now at 140, and then upper resistance at 280. So although Ondo's drop in recent days, it says may raise concerns for short-term traders. If you zoom out here and you're looking at Ondo as a long-term potential play, things are still looking very, very good when you zoom out on the Ondo chart. If we take a look here, this is XRP. We'll flip it over and take a look at Ondo here and give you guys some thoughts. If we zoom out on the daily, this is the Ondo chart. You can see that lower support range right in here around 70 cents. We came down here in April, came down here again in June. We were down similarly, down here in October of 2024 before we had the big pop. And we're currently kind of like right here on some resistance lines, right where we came up here in May, right in this like 110 range. As soon as we break that, we've got a runway all the way up to that 140 level that we just mentioned. Now, we are a little hot on the RSI. If we look at the moving averages, things look pretty good, honestly, especially our long-term moving averages, our exponential moving average 200 or our SMA 200. Both of these are probably the most crucial for me because, I'm a long-term investor here, at least within this cycle. So I want to look at the longer moving average, right? The 200-day is kind of our best way to get a full picture. And you can see 93 cents, 98 cents on the EMA and SMA, and we're comfortably above that right now. Okay, so as long as we continue to stay above that, I think that's going to be something we'll watch. Now, Binance US is listing Ondo as well. Ondo will get listed on Binance US. Trading actually started 2 days ago, and we'll see if this eventually kind of leads to a Binance, total listing, on Binance itself.
Well, that's good. That's a good start. I mean, definitely want to be on Binance and some of the bigger ones. There's like, I think Kraken just added Algorand. Like there's some really crazy stuff like that where they're bigger platforms, and you would just think everything in the top 50 would automatically be, you'd automatically add that unless it's, one of the scam coins that just popped up there briefly, but whatever.
Now you can see here, it's listed on Coinbase. Actually, I take that back. It's already listed on the actual Binance. Okay. I thought so. Binance US hasn't had it though, but it's listed everywhere. Coinbase, Binance, Upbit, all the big exchanges already have it. So it's easy to get exposure. And overall, guys, to me, this is a play that's sitting here in the top 40. And again, with its TVL like nearing $1.5 billion and its market cap only above $3 billion, that screams undervalued to me, right?
Yeah, I think he's right for sure. So anyway, I think this is all great news about Ondo, and big shout out to Zach Humphreys. Like I said in our HBAR segment, big friend of the channel. We follow each other. One of the people I like in the space, so I think he makes a lot of sense here. Yeah, Ondo is definitely something I'm interested in, and I definitely see myself looking into it more. I might actually go buy some right after I wrap up this live stream. So I don't know. What do you guys think about Ondo? Let me know in the chat. We'll talk about it. Well, okay. So some people asked about the black card. And, Raphael Betancourt, by the way. Oh, going back to Wind Projector, you're probably gone already, but thanks. Yeah, it says, appreciate your time covering Algo. I watch and like every one of them. I appreciate that. Thanks so much. Sorry if you're watching this later. Like I said, during the segments, I don't respond to chat because I want to clip these for YouTube. Raphael says, hi, mate. HBAR is cooking. Yeah, it's been doing well. We covered that in our HBAR segment. I wonder how it's doing now, actually. Yeah, up about 2.4% now on the 24-hour and 1% in the last hour, which may not sound like much, but everything else is like almost everything else is down in the last 24 hours. So the news really made a difference for sure. Brian Altragi says, the mint was extremely smooth. I think the 5 NFT per wallet was excessive, but it will activate the NFT market if it actually has utility. And that's one of the things I talked about. So the two things I talked about were, I think 5 per wallet was crazy. I think it should have been 1 per wallet. Like you want to get this into as many hands as possible. If you care more than just making money, I figured they made about 24,000 on this NFT, and I don't know what they sold the gold and silver cards for. Those were on Base and Ethereum, was it? Wait, AVAX? What was the other one? I said it during the segment. But they were on different chains. I think it was Avalanche. So they made like 75,000. If they do that every year, that's like 75,000 of revenue that they can bring in to support their project. But I do think 1 in 5 is too much. I think it just should be 1 per wallet. I think that would have been a better way to do it. And the other thing I said was a lot of people were complaining because they were there from day one, and they didn't get it. They weren't able to buy one of these. I think that really bothered people. I think that bothered people a lot. That, like I explained, when Tiny Man launched their coin, I got a bunch of Tiny token because I was an OG holder. And I know folks would say it's their points. So the benefit I could see, so that was the other thing I talked about, Brian, is that they talked about the black card, and nowhere, I looked at all their tweets going back till, they first started announcing it. None of them say, by the way, this is what you get for doing it. There was no like, this is the benefits for you. It's just like, yeah, there's only 400 of them. So of course you want one, and people bought them. So, but I saw a lot of people who were like, said that, yeah, I've been using folks from day one and I couldn't get one of these cards. And I think what they should have done probably is done one where they whitelisted like people who were longtime users of folks, and then did a second one for other people. I think that would have made more sense. And they could have done 400 of each and probably made more money. Because at only $60, like the other thing they could have done is done an auction, and that probably would have made them more money, but I think it would have made people mad. So I don't know. They probably were right in the first place. Mr. D says some RWA low caps to look into that are interesting are BKN props and ATR. Let's look at. Oh, why not? We got a little time. Let's see what we got here. Okay, first one. BKN. Bricken. $35 million TVO. $14.4 million market cap. That's definitely low cap. Yes. Max supply is only 143 million, so about half the supply out at 72. Oh, sorry. About half the supply at 72. Definitely down on the week, so maybe buying opportunity. Is this when it launched? Last August? If I go all, is that the same? Launched in September. Up a little bit all time. Community sentiment very bullish. Although I never know quite what to make of that. That's Bricken. Interesting. How about props? This one's up a little bit today. $12.7 million market cap. 1.2 billion supply and about 400 out. So maybe a third. It's about a third, maybe a little bit more. All time had a big pump in last March. That's interesting. I think a lot of, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, and then looks like it pumped up with everything else in that that big November December run. Yeah, very interesting one. Sentiment's pretty high. A lot of these small caps are because there's not enough people that know about it that will, poop on it, so to speak. And last one is ATR. Our trade. This one's down quite a bit in the last day. Could be a buy opportunity. This one launched in May 2022. Very low compared to some of its peaks. Very interesting. And this one is almost the whole supply is out. Which doesn't always mean what people think, by the way. I think a lot of people think it's not a bad thing necessarily, but I don't think it's as big a deal as people think, because you have coins like SWI where, barely a tenth of the supply was out, maybe a little more now, and that one pumped like crazy. Other ones like Solana where they just flat out lied about their supply, that one still pumps all over the place. So where can you get some of these? So one of the issues is you kind of got to go to some of these really small CEXs. Yeah, same with prop. I mean, you got to do like BitGet or Gate or Bitmart, some of these other ones. So if you can find a way to like buy them, this one's really not on a lot of these. This is how you get some of these small caps, and they're really risky. They're risky, but I mean, you can make money on them, so. Whew. Well, hey, that was a long live stream. Appreciate everyone tuning in today. I thought we covered some pretty interesting ground with a lot of Algorand news, including Nyla AI. That's my favorite. I'm really excited about that. Nyla is awesome. What else am I excited about? Well, I'm just excited about this stuff in general. That's the big one. So anyway, yeah, I'm losing my voice. So thanks everyone for tuning in. Good 2-hour live stream. That's about what I like to do. Hope everyone's doing well out there. And, like I said, these pullbacks can be, depending on your thesis, they can be good times to buy a little bit. And then on a dip, if there's something you have a lot of conviction on. Hopefully, though, everyone was buying in 2022 and 2023. That was really the time to, especially 2023. That was the year to buy. So 2027 will also be that. So 2027, you should be preparing for 2029. That's really that's the play there. So, and who knows, these cycles keep getting longer and longer. So that's a thing to think about too. But all right, appreciate everyone tuning in. I do want to shout out really quickly just want to see who was the top. If the leaderboard stayed the same, I think it probably did. That's really fan. Yep. Capito 777, who was, where is he? CMDR Viriatus. He is number 1. Yuvash Patel is number 2, and random guy 52284 actually made it to number 3. I think, nope. Who is that? Oh, this is Wind Projector. Wind Projector is number 3. Yeah, some of these, it's like you have different titles, I think, than you do like your address. So then I have to go back through and kind of match them. But those are the top 3 with everyone with 75 experience points. And Jeffrey had 75 too. So you're actually all kind of tied. I don't know. So I don't know what it does to rank them. But in case people are wondering who got the top experience points, that's who it is. Otherwise, I'm Frugal BC. Stay safe out there. And as always, I will